Let me just say, I hate war. I really do. I hate having to deal with it mentally, that this is something that's happening on the other side of the earth. I hate that there's all these conversations about it's actually okay because of X, Y, and Z reasons. I hate all of it. I hate just the people in charge that are just doing this, and at this point, don't seem to be giving us any reasons at all as to why this is even happening. Um, Not that I'm thrilled about the way it used to be done, where they would just lie to us, and then I guess that made it so that we were okay with people being blown up and stuff. I hate the whole thing. I really do. And it's crazy to me that we're somehow in a universe where Tucker Carlson is, the one kind of calling people out, it seems. Eh, I don't even know what's happening. Anyway, so apparently Tucker Carlson is saying that he's being targeted by the CIA, saying that they are reading his text messages, which is kind of insane. Um, I don't know. He just came out and said this. I don't really have a great way to verify this at the moment. Um, I'm sure we'll figure it out eventually. But it is kind of funny that like one of Trump's main dudes that was literally just at CPAC, like not what a couple months ago, and yeah, trying, and he was one of the ones literally telling him don't do the war. Now that makes Tucker Carlson a good person. It's broken clock twice a day, but still, and and now he's being like surveilled or whatever. Like he's got like surveillance going on. So kind of crazy. So let's take a look at the video where he's saying this, and then there's this. Then we got this interview of him with Pierce Morgan that had like over 1 million views from like 2 days ago. So apparently, pretty big deal. And he's saying that he wants to run for president, which is another insane thing. And just because he happens to be right about the most obvious thing ever, that war's bad, doesn't mean that he should be president anyway. But we're going to get into it. I'm Brantley. This is a punk apostate. Let's go. Let's go. So we got this. All right. Here's him claiming this shit.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war.
Whoa.
They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One,
but are you worried maybe about them reading your text messages? I mean, right there, that seems kind of crazy to me. That we just got we got this this administration that feels comfortable enough to read to have the CIA go and just rifle through somebody's phone. This is insane. What the hell?
I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern.
He has a lot of kids? I got a bunch of them, got a bunch of those thingies just all over the place, man. The house is cluttered like crazy with all those kids.
I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it.
I don't think that's true. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that's a lie. It wasn't he the guy that was that was talking about how awesome the Russian subway was. It's super clean over here, man. And look how cheap their groceries are. Tell me you didn't get paid for that? Come on. Who just automatically starts talking about how awesome Russia is when they're in the midst of a war, too, by the way, that we were kind of on the opposite side of as far as, them in Ukraine. We were prior to the Trump regime taking over anyway. But now, but you're telling me he didn't take money for that? Yeah, I don't buy it.
Want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody.
God, the way he talks is so weird. I talk to anybody I want, God damn it. Okay, I'm an American, all right?
I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing.
That is kind of scary too. Just the fact, everything that's going on right now could be arguably scary, but the fact that countries do tend to lean more towards authoritarianism when we're in the middle of war, and we kind of had what seems like a random war that Trump just sort of dived headfirst into, and still after 2 weeks has not provided a coherent answer as to what the hell we're even doing over there. But as an aside, given that he did that, now we can be even more authoritarian, because that tends to be how it works, given that everybody's all tense and everything once you start going to war, and now you have a big target on your back, and our country has a big target on its back, and now it means there's a bunch of possible terrorist attacks and stuff like it. So then they start shutting shit down, start doing surveillance, all this type of shit. Not good.
Is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans? Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom were threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be...
I own the government. That's right. That's what I do. Yeah. I'm a shareholder. Yeah, I don't think most of us think about it that way. Maybe like wealthy people would, but...
Be violating your privacy like this, but it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA, or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel, and they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason and
it's like another reason why, like, having an administration that is this corrupt and willing to just lie at the drop of a hat is a problem. And we've heard Trump say basically that he can do these emergency acts where he can give himself basically like absolute power. And, he'll always be like, I'm not going to use it, but I could. It's a possibility. Whatever, and it's a problem because, like, this is what they'll do. It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't have to actually be true. And in fact, it's likely that it won't be true. Whatever it is they're saying, the reasons are for why they're now spying on everybody. Problem is, too, now they got AI. AI can comb through. I'm not saying they're going to do it accurately. They'll probably end up taking out a bunch of their own people doing it this way, because AI kind of sucks and tends to hallucinate just all the time, just constantly on acid. The AI is, or whatever. But if they can use that, they can target a whole bunch of people and try to figure out, who the non-loyalists are, say they're all domestic terrorists, and then start just imprisoning any kind of political dissidents or whatever. Anyway, but which I think I could see them doing that, but I'm not trying to freak you out yet, but I could see them going that direction. If that, nothing else, at least to get the intel to see like who all the people are that don't support him. Specifically, because we're supposed to have it where that kind of information is kept secret. But Trump has literally tried to obtain voter data to figure out who's voting for him and who isn't, which is pretty scary. And as far as I understand, he actually got a lot of that data. I think from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. They just went and took it, even though the judges told them not to, because it's Grand Theft Auto regime in the Trump administration. But
do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021, when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later, my second attempt to get a Putin interview.
You got to get a new phone, man, or maybe invest in some burners, right? Just get the burn. I see they do it in movies all the time. They come in like a little, one of those annoying packs where you have to have scissors. There's no getting into it when you're in your car, unless you have scissors in your car. Maybe you're smart like that. I'm not. And so you're just, I've got to fucking wait till I get home to do anything with this thing at all. Because those things are impossible to get. And don't even try to bite it. Okay. You will break your teeth. That's what's going to happen there. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing all right? Let me see what's going on in the chat before we move on. I know it's kind of a heavy one today, but it's just a heavy day, really. It is. Giselle, what's going on, Giselle? Giselle Wood. Oh yeah, what's going on? Hey, over to you. That's right. We got Weirdo coming in second. Wait, Tucker Boy is claiming CIA targeting now. Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's claimed that obviously now several times he's claimed to have the CIA going after him. He's kind of a conspiracy theorist, sort of, sometimes when he's not accidentally right, like he's been a little bit lately. About the poll, do you have a pet name for Tucker Carlson? Tuckums? Yeah, that's well, it's not my pet name. That was shit, what was their name? Joy Reid, one of the journalists at like CNN or MSNBC. She called him Tuckums all the time, and I just kind of like it. It just has a nice infantilizing feel to it. You know what I mean? Anyway. Any Gina? No. Tomorrow we're doing Gina. And it's for members. So luckily you're a member. But yeah, no, I found a couple of videos of Gina. She disappeared. For anybody else that's asking, Gina Marie Colvin Hill, crazy person. We lost her. She disappeared from the internet as far as I knew. So, we had to go on a hunt. And the crack team of online investigators that are all of you guys found Gina Marie Colvin Hill on Facebook. So she's still posting, just only on Facebook. She's nowhere else. So we are going to be covering that her page and going through all her videos and stuff tomorrow. So definitely check it out. It's for members, but I am going to be cutting some pieces of it and putting them out as videos. So you'll, if you're not a member, you still get to see parts of it afterwards. Anyway, all right, back to the fun here. Oh, let me say hey to everybody else. Deep State, what's going on? How we doing? So when I start working, I'm going to start up the membership again. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Let me know once you get moving again. I would love to hang out again. Let's see. Vladimir Putin would not take an interview with any Western journalist aside of Tucker Carlson. There's a reason for that, because Tucker is a vassal for Russian bullshit. Yeah, definitely. He's that's sort of his whole bag. I mean, not his whole bag, but he has absolutely been on the Russia side, which is so weird because he's so he's anti-Israel in this fight, right, between the Israelis and right now Iran, but also, prior to that, the Palestinians. He was totally against Israel, yet he was totally pro-Russia. Why? Where's the? They're kind of doing the exact same thing, just in the opposite direction, and he manages to I don't know, just doesn't make sense. It's it's okay for these people to invade, not okay for these people. Why? What's the difference? But yeah, I think he's just got some Nazi views. It's just, which is so weird that there's so many hell yeah, punks against apartheid. Fuck yeah, dude, definitely against that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy the way that the right has been sort of the ultra fascist Nazi type. They're kind of just going mainstream, and I think Tucker had a lot to do with that. But it's crazy that they're all coming out and they're like, we need to stop doing all this stuff. It's like you circle back around to so wrong that you're kind of right about some things, and that's sort of what we've seen, I guess, when it comes to the Israel support. But it's really weird. Anyway, back to Tuckums. The Tuckums.
I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this.
Sorry, I was trying to will him into doing the psycho laugh he does.
In my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me. So I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are, and you should know that
you're going to be reading your phones, guys. Okay, they'll be doing it. The fact that they've done this so many times before, and you're still just they are still looking at my phone. They certainly are, and you need to be worried about. I tell you, because it's true. What's going on here? What's going on?
A lot of
that was my Ben Shapiro. Oh, not my Ben Shapiro. That Tucker Carlson. Ben Shapiro's up here. He's like that,
What happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect.
But as long as the people that make the laws say that it's legal, then it's legal. That's how legal stuff works, right? If they get to say that you're not a citizen anymore, then they can just put you in a torture prison, right?
And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV.
I hate the way they put hardworking next to decent and good, and that makes you a good person as long as you are slaving away to make some asshole a bit more capital to add to the too much that they've already got. You're a good person, and then we think that they're not literally forming the narrative of morality. around greed and stuff. As long as you contribute to some greedy asshole's shit, you're good. You're a good person, you know?
But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now.
And with Russiagate, was that I feel like there's been multiple Russiagates, but or just multiple conspiracies or whatever with them, or controversies that involve them. I don't know which one he's talking about exactly. But yeah, Russia's bad. I don't know. They're kind of and it's so strange too, because it's like this is where I'm really getting confused about everything that's going on here. Because apparently Russia, who Trump has like a good relationship with, it's pretty obvious that he likes Putin. I mean, I think maybe he just likes dictators. He just likes the way that they, I don't know, carry themselves, I guess. He likes the cut of their jibs, you know, or something. But but now, like, you know, and he was clearly like working with Putin, it seemed, had like secret meetings with him and everything where he like asked everybody to leave the room, where, including like all of the people that take the, you know, that record the data for just the White House and everything, just so that we could have that data saved, whether, you know, people are allowed to have access to it or not. Like saving data is like something that the White House has been doing for forever. That's why we're able to unseal things and whatnot from like, you know, forever ago, even though it's like classified and top secret and everything, we still record the data. He was like, no, we're not going to record it for that, which is really concerning. But so he did that with Putin, clearly had like good relationship with him, was like working to like cut the funding to Ukraine and shit like that. Anyway, now it seems Russia is helping Iran in this whole new war that nobody knows what the hell it's for, other than, you know, the more reasonable people that can kind of just read between the lines. They're like, because Netanyahu said that's why. You're like, well, why does this, you know, what is this for? Israel. It's for Israel. That's it. That's all. We're done. We're done talking. That's all it is. It does nothing for us whatsoever. It's all just for Israel so that they can destabilize one of the biggest players in the area, and just put them in complete chaos so that they'll collapse as a power player. And then Israel will have, you know, hopefully try to, you know, to hopefully for them anyway, try to take that area and broaden their reach as far as their borders go, which seems like that's all they care about, is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, taking over more and more of the Middle East. That's what Israel wants.
So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyway, apparently he talked to, what's his name? Piers Morgan. He went on Piers Morgan. This happened a couple days ago, right? Where is it? Look at this. 1.2 million views in 3 days. That's crazy. Like that never in 3 days. I mean, it is. Oh wait, and that's not even the double one. There's one that's both of them. There it is. Oh, that's just 1 million, but that's in 2 days, right? So what? I guess he put out his own version. Is that what that is? All right. Anyway, yeah. So he put out his own. All right, but here's like from both of them, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. He
Didn't work.
Rose and crap.
As he's dreamed of this for
Apparently, though, in this, he said he wants to run for president just because he wants to debate Ted Cruz, which is something he's already done before, which is weird that he would say that I mean, I guess maybe it was a joke or something. I don't really understand his humor.
40 years, it could be yes on all counts. For President Trump, makes our country safer. Wards amid the chaos, both economic and political, which is inherently not within your control. That's why most leaders carefully construct a case for war based on the costs and the rewards. Amid the suffering, they see great benefit.
Yeah, Trump doesn't do that. that's just not his style, you know. Carefully considered, but he barely does just the considering part of it. He's just already doing stuff, and then he's like, "Why am I doing this?" Like he's basically like a crackhead. It's just like, "Why did I do that?" I don't know. I don't know. Because I don't really think with my own brain because it's being manipulated by a chemical agent all the time. Like that's how I feel Trump is. Like he's just constantly looking back. What the fuck was that for? Why did I? Whatever. Moving on. All right.
Fit in the national interest? Could it expand our territory or our control? Does it eliminate a genuine threat, which makes our country safer? Will it make us more powerful in our own geographic neighborhood? Is it popular with our people?
That irritates me too. Why the fuck? Like, it's really strange that that we're like, hey, as long as war is popular, then it's cool, man. Then we can go, then we can do all the warring because hey, people are cool with it. So I don't fucking care. Like, what the hell? Like, so what? If everybody's stupid, you know, and everybody's bloodthirsty, then it's okay. No, I don't. I just it drives me nuts when they say shit like that. That should not have any bearing whatsoever on why we go to war and shit. Anyway,
does it strengthen our national unity and pride? For President Trump right now, the answer to all these questions is no. For Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who says he's dreamed of this for 40 years, it could be yes on all counts. It's therefore perfectly reasonable to believe that Israel led the US into this war in Iran, not least because Marco Rubio said it, and Antony Blinken said Netanyahu tried the same strategy with the two previous presidents. But it doesn't.
Okay, let's pipe down with the hot takes over here. Okay, you know, let's just equal to whoa, come on now. Let's just, you know, you're too controversial over here with your takes.
Answer the question of why President Trump went along with it and why now. The answer could simply be oil, as it's often been before. Prices are swinging wildly at the moment.
Which is so funny. The way that they like 100% about face on the Venezuelan like oil thing where they're like, oh yeah, it's the drugs. Yeah. On those little tiny boats that are just, you know, going around. There was probably a video game backpack level of cocaine filling that thing that could not possibly be held by that little tiny boat. That's the joke that I'm trying to say. I don't know if I got there or not. You know, on video games, they can pull like giant shit out of their magical bag that they got. Anyway, and then they totally switched, and it was like Trump didn't even care. He didn't even try. He was just like, yeah, we want the oil. I was just kidding about the drug. Maybe they're doing drug stuff too. Don't care. Anyway, the oil. Let me get all the oil execs sold here in the U.S. We need to break them down for a meeting because, look, we got all this oil. We got to do something with it. Like, it's ridiculous. Just complete about face. I could not imagine trying to be a Trump supporter right now where your brain has got to be just exhausted from all of the rationalizing, even if you're not even talking to people, right? Even if you're just thinking in your own brain, it just has to be exhausting, you know? You can just be sitting around going, oh, but wait, no, but it's got to be okay because of this, that, and the other. Wait, but no, but this is okay. The PDF file, the Epstein file, it's okay because it's like you got to be losing your fucking mind, you know? I can't imagine. Oh God, it's so satisfying to not have to deal with that anymore. My Lord, I remember just dealing with that. Be like, what are my talking points? Why is it okay that George Bush is doing this? Because just shoot me my talking points, and then I don't have to think anymore. Remember, that's the whole point of being a conservative is so you don't have to think. You get all your thoughts just prescribed to you by religion, your parents, and the politicians that lie constantly. It's great.
But the president said this.
Prices are coming down very substantially. Oil will be coming down. That's just
wow. Thank you.
Matter of war.
Let me pause for a second here and say thank you to Callie. What's up, Callie? Holy shit! Gifted 10 Punk Apostate memberships. Thank you so much. Hell yeah. And that I'm sure everybody's really going to appreciate that this time because, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be checking out the Gina Maria Colvin Hill hideout on Facebook to where nobody could find her. And so we're bringing her back to YouTube, but she's going to be brought back to YouTube through Punk Apostate, through our channel here. So it's going to be awesome. Got to check it out. It's going to be a great time tomorrow. And what did I give a time for that? I forget. Anyway, it's in the morning, I think. It's earlier. That's doing it because I'm on vacation. So spring break, it's great. Anyway, back to whatever the hell this is.
You can almost predict it. I would say it went up a little bit less than we thought. It's going to come down.
What is he talking about?
Swinging wildly at the moment, but the president said this.
Prices are coming down very substantially. Oil will be coming down. That's just a matter of war. That happens.
Just a matter of war. The oil will be coming down, probably, maybe, not really sure. Okay, but yeah, anyway, it's coming down. The prices are down. Like, I swear to God, he's probably just gonna go. It'll be like $5 a gallon, and it'll be like the prices are cheaper than they've ever been before. And the Trumpers would just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna repeat what he said. Even though it's like the most easily debunkable bullshit ever.
You can almost predict it. I would say it went up a little bit less than we thought. It's going to come down more than anybody understands.
As it stands, Iran has only tightened its grip on the Strait of Hormuz. It's now exporting more of its own oil than before the war began, while making it more expensive for everybody else. And if the US always planned to take control, to conquer the strait and leave Israel to police it, why did nobody say that? Trump was crystal clear about the...
Yeah, because that wasn't part of the plan. They weren't playing. What? They're like the Joker. They just do things. It's like a dog chasing a car. I'd never know what to do if I actually got one.
These selfish benefits of raiding Venezuela. He's made a similar case about Greenland, whether you agree with it or not. So why the muddle?
Not. I'm going to go with not. Yeah. And Greenland, dude, what the fuck? What is wrong with this guy, man? His brain is jello. Like, what the fuck? Now he's going after Greenland. I don't know exactly why, but apparently the whys do not matter at all. They don't seem to be coming into it one iota. The thing that they do have, though, is a lot of resources, a lot of precious metals, a lot of things like that. So there is definitely valuables there for him to show up and take, which is, what empires tend to do. I heard a joke the other day where they were talking about, I guess it's not even really a joke, it's just a fact, but it's just kind of funny. And I think it was, what was it, India? And they were talking about in India, the railroad tracks and stuff. And they're like, hey, we put all these awesome trains and everything. Like the colonialists or whatever, they put in all these trains. And they're like, yeah, it's hard to steal everybody's fucking resources on foot. Yeah. And so, yeah, trains, of course they did that. But they're like, but they were trying to sell it as like a good thing. And it's like, yeah, but they just did that so they could steal their shit easier. That's it. Because again, and it's like Trump's not even trying to hide that type of shit.
Messaging now. It's impossible to disconnect it from the bigger picture about his final term, the defense of MAGA's legacy and the battle for its future. The so-called MAGA war was red hot long before the Iran war began. Trump will be well aware that one side is extremely skeptical about Israel because it's a direct threat to a very literal interpretation of America first. Fix this country before sending bombs.
You have to have like a literal interpretation. What is there? Is there a metaphorical America first? Is that what it is? In the metaphorical America first, Israel counts as it's basically, it's like Alaska, it's just the 51st state, and it belongs in another little box next to Hawaii and Alaska. You know what I mean?
Fix everybody else's. The other side would rather you didn't talk about Israel at all, as is to express unconditional support. Israel, they believe, is a key overseas territory in a new American empire which rules the world with muscle. That battle of ideas is going nowhere fast, which is why presidential hopeful Ted Cruz said this.
I believe Tucker Carlson is the single most dangerous demagogue in this country.
Other people are clapping for that. Okay, that's.
And I'll tell you, I've made the decision that
all three of them are clapping over here.
I'm going to take him on head directly.
Why are you a politician, dude? You can't even say head on or directly head on, which maybe would have been what he was trying to. It's like head. I'm going to give him head. It's directly. I'm directly going to give him head. Wait, no, that's right. That's super gay. Hold on. Wait, let me just take it back. Can you guys just make sure not to air that? That'd be great. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm going to be giving Tucker Carlson head. Fuck, I did it again. What is going on? I'm just messing up all over the place.
Well, Tucker Carlson rejoins me now on our sensor. Tucker, how are you?
It's such a serious topic, and then you play the Ted Cruz clip, and I laugh. He already took me on head-to-head last summer. I'm not running for president, so I don't know why he would be running for president against me.
What? Okay.
But thank you. And Pierce.
Because he said he's the most dangerous demagogue. Yeah.
I have said publicly a number of times, you have been, even though we disagree on a lot of core issues, you have been a champion for free speech for years, especially as free speech, the allowable window of free speech shrinks, and you've been one of the world's great champions of it. So I'm not surprised.
Everybody have to like kiss everybody's ass that they're on the show of like for the first minute or two. Is that just a Republican thing? Like, what is up with like all of them be like, I think you are amazing at the free. We do disagree about a couple things, but let me start with what I love about you.
That you're getting attacked for that, but good for you for what you're doing. Thank you.
Good for you. Well, good for you for what you were doing. I don't know why that came off like infantilizing a little bit. Good for you. Look at you down there doing stuff. Oh, you're adorable. You know that? Good for you.
We're going to come to some of those attacks a little later. Just in relation to Ted Cruz, I mean, I watched that interview that you did with him where he had no idea how many people live in Iran. And as you rightly pointed out, that ought to be probably a basic prerequisite of...
That interview was quite funny. I got to say. Tucker, I hate to say this, but, you know, Tucker Carlson on the Israel stuff, talking to, you know, the different people involved. Damn, of course, I'm blanking on the dude's name that is in charge of Israel relations currently. Huckabee? It's a Huckabee, right? Anyway, that was hilarious. That I mean, hilarious in like this sick, satirical, ironic, gross kind of way. But it was funny. But so was in the same thread, his conversation with Ted Cruz, where he was like just basically saying, hey, if you're a Christian, you got to support Israel. The Bible says if you don't support Israel, you will be burning to hell. Yeah, Bible says that pretty clearly. And Tucker was just like, the Bible says that you have to like support Israel, otherwise you're not a good Christian. Yeah, the Bible says that.
Knowing about a country before you may wish to, for example, attack a country. And it may be that him now responding in the way that he is because you embarrassed him so much that day. But in relation to his claim that you are the single most dangerous demagogue in America, how do you respond to that?
I really loved it was Heath Enright from the Skating Atheist podcast, which I just love. Skating Atheist podcast. He always says that Tucker Carlson's face is toddler face when they don't want to when they, you know, when they're like, oh, the airplane's coming, and they're like, no, I want you to go. That's like exactly that face. It's like, and it's dead on. Like, it's just, that's such a solid, astute evaluation of this face going on.
That.
Well, I'm honored that I beat Mamdani and AOC and the entire Democratic Party. I mean, this is a conservative Republican Senate.
Mamdani's got to be definitely the most dangerous person in the U.S. No, on Earth, man. He's a communist. He's not a communist. Democratic socialists are not communists. I don't know why the people don't know the difference between socialism and communism, but people need to read a fucking book.
Senator from Texas telling you that I am the most dangerous. Well, why is that? I have no allegiance to any foreign country, only my own, the one in which I was born, unlike Ted Cruz, who's from Canada.
Ted Cruz is Canadian? I did not know that. But that tracks. I don't know. And I'm sorry, Canada, for saying that. Just like he was the biggest dick. He had to be just the biggest dick in Canada, to whereas Canada was like, I'm sorry, but can you go? We need you to go. You need to get out of here. Okay. We don't want you here. I'm sorry, but go. Okay. Get your keister out of here.
Why would I be the most dangerous? In fact, I'm not a demagogue. I don't seek to divide people. It pains me to see people divided. It's against my religion and it's bad for my country.
It's against
He's
my
mad
religion.
at me. Well, yeah, because his interview didn't go well, as you said. That's true, I think. But he's actually most mad at me because I'm criticizing our alliance with Israel. And I'm not doing that because I'm getting anything out of it. I'm certainly not. Or because I hate Israel. I don't and never have. But because I don't think it helps the United States. And I've been saying that for the last year, to increasing irritation from agents of Israel like Ted Cruz. And now this war kind of proves the point. Unfortunately, I wish we hadn't come to this, but this is so destructive to American national interest that it's hard to believe destroying American national interest, weakening the United States, wasn't part of the point. How could it not have been? And the last point I would make about relevant knowledge of a country you seek to overthrow is that, like, looking at maps doesn't tell you the whole story, but it tells you part of the story.
I don't know. They're just kind of like, whatever. I don't need it. We're overthrowing it, dude. Okay. Once it gets overthrown, none of that information's going to matter anyway. So just put a pipe down. Okay. With all your just thinking stuff. All right. No, we're just going to blow some shit up and we'll figure it out afterwards. Okay.
At the eastern end of the Persian Gulf is a strait called Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's energy flows, and a huge percentage of its fertilizer and sulfur and petrochemicals and things that we need for civilization. And if you shut that down, the world economy tanks. And by the way, if you take out the government that controls 1/2 of that strait, and that government is replaced by warring tribes, a civil war, then you open it up to piracy. And anybody with a $400 drone can prevent an oil tanker from getting through the strait. So chaos is actually the enemy of commerce, as are, terrorist regimes. But chaos is actually even more of a threat because you cannot meaningfully negotiate with pirates, even with the Houthis.
But I mean, that's what it feels like trying to negotiate with the U.S. right now. Like we are just like an unhinged pirate at this point, like where nobody even know, like everybody's just trying to kiss the ring, be nice to him, give him your Nobel Peace Prize, just do whatever, for him to just like make fun of you and humiliate you about it later. Like that's where we're at. That's why it's so hilarious to me that like all these people are trying to be like, the immigrants just need to follow all the rules. Okay, there's all these rules that are changing by the goddamn second too, by the way, with this administration, but they just need to follow the rules. That's the problem. And yet Trump is just going to war without the approval of Congress, just doing everything but breaking, in this like anarchy kind of like no rules, just the billionaire just stepping over all precedent, just kicking everybody out of the way and doing whatever the hell he wants. And then all of his weirdo followers have to try to rationalize their brain around why it's actually good that he's breaking all the rules and everything all the time. And everybody else should be followed. Law and order, law and order, except for him. He doesn't have any order or law at all.
So like, what was the plan? What was the plan to overthrow the government of Iran or even attack it in a meaningful way without jeopardizing core American interests? And the answer is there never was a plan.
Plan. It's adorable. You thinking that we're having plans and stuff.
Because the people who thought this up don't care about core American interests. And the net effect is to hand the Middle East to the Chinese, which is what is in process of happening. And I hope for the sake of the United States and the world that we can stop that. But the truth is, our real allies in the region are the 6 Gulf monarchies that control a lot of the world energy. And by the way, they're pro-American and decent people, as you know, because you and I had lunch there. This is a nice part of the world. It's being destroyed. Yeah, these are our allies. We have bases in these countries for a reason, not just to protect Israel, but to protect the Straits of Hormuz. We haven't been able to defend these countries to the extent that I think they thought we would be able to. We've moved a lot of the anti-missile defense that might have protected them to Israel. And so for them at the end of all of this, the question is going to be, do we allow the Americans to come back and occupy bases on the Persian Gulf? What's in it for us? We just got bombed for it. No one protected us. Our energy infrastructure is damaged. Our economy is offline for months as we rebuild it. In the case of Dubai, it's a branding disaster. Like, there's no upside. And so
it's the problem too is the branding, what about all the dead people? Did he mention the dead people? Like, did he even say any of that? But yeah, my goodness, this is just a disaster. And it's crazy too, because it's so hard for me to not think on a regular basis. And these are some of those intrusive thoughts maybe where I got to just like shoo them away. Be like, okay, that's a thought there that might not be connected to anything in reality. But, I'll be looking at this and going, is he doing this on purpose? Like, is Trump trying to break everything on purpose so that there's international instability so that, he has more free reign, I guess, maybe to gain more power when everything's in disarray? It's like, what's his name? Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. He always said chaos is a ladder, right? I mean, I know Game of Thrones is a fantasy television show, but it's kind of based off of a power struggle within whatever they're Westeros or whatever it was. But the power struggle is very similar to what we have here. And so I could see that possibly translating to everything we got going on here. Or if somebody is paying him to take out the US as a power, right? Just get rid of as many power players on the planet stage as humanly possible. I don't know. Maybe that's all insane, but like you look at this behavior and you go, fucking why, man? Like, what is this? Like, what are you doing here? What is this all for? Who are you trying to help here? And how are you even trying to help yourself? I don't know. But that, part of me almost was just like, okay, Putin, Trump, and Bibi Netanyahu, they're going to set up the one world government, and they're going to the three of them are just going to rule. They're going to be the axis of Epstein or whatever, and they're going to rule the world with an iron fist of 1984 style AI surveillance and other, Elon Musk's robot armies that he'll have just walking. I'm just thinking the most insane, like, post-apocalyptic scenario here. But like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why? What is all this for?
Point, the Chinese, the world's largest economy, kind of sat this out on the sidelines, said basically nothing, maybe called on to negotiate some kind of peaceful resolution to this. The Chinese, not the US, the Chinese.
And hey, if y'all want to smash that like button, I'd appreciate it. It really does help the algorithm get out there, or get us out to the algorithm, because they've definitely been trying to push back a lot of the left-leaning stuff. So if you want to hit that like button, it really does help out a lot. Anyway.
And then it naturally follows that China, which is the largest trading partner of every country on both sides of the Persian Gulf, would become the dominant power in the Persian Gulf. It would become Chinese. So like, if you thought about this for 2 minutes before advocating for it, you might arrive at that conclusion, or at least conclude that's possible. That could happen if killing an 86-year-old religious leader didn't cause a spontaneous creation of a pro-Western government, which was apparently Ted Cruz's plan. If that didn't work, what would happen? Well, China would take it. And so anyone who didn't think that through is either not qualified to lead anything, including one half of the state of Texas. That person is probably actively working against America's core long-term interests. I mean, I don't know what other conclusion to reach.
But that's the thing too, is like most of the right-wing Republican actions, they're completely short-sighted. I mean, they're just like they're capitalists, the capitalism. It's always short-sighted. It's always with the assumption that, hey, everything's just going to keep going great. There's no possible problems. We're just going to continue to have economic growth for all eternity. Everything's going to be great. Don't worry about the environment. Fuck the environment. Okay. It does, it's just, all the people that care about that, they're out hugging trees and shit. Fuck them. All right. Let it just doesn't matter. We're going to do this stuff and wreck the environment, and we don't care. With zero long-term forethought there. It's it does not surprise me at all that the Republicans are like this.
It's been reported that you described the attacks when they first happened as evil and dangerous. Is that true? And is that a reflection of how you felt in that moment when you heard it had finally happened?
I got a text from someone I've known for many years right when I woke up and said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Evil and disgusting," actually is what I said. And
that's probably that's how I think I literally exactly those words. It's kind of weird. Kind of grosses me out. I think that we have thought of the same words at the same time. Although I feel like it's pretty obvious that it's evil and disgusting. Like, yeah, of course.
I wrote it to John Carl as a reporter at ABC News, who I've known since the early 90s. I had no idea this was some kind of on the record thing. He immediately went on breaking news and, and
is that a guitar? Was he playing a guitar? Oh no, what was that? Breaking news. Do you play guitar when you're breaking news? What's going on here?
At ABC News, who I've known since the early 90s. I had no idea this was some kind of on the record thing. He immediately went on breaking news and
I guess maybe that was a point. So it looked like a guitar point, though. I don't know. Anyway,
and reported that. I had no desire to get that out there. I want to present my views in a more cogent, thoughtful way than just growling right when I wake up in response to the news on my phone. But yes, I'm not running away from what I said. That was my initial reaction. I thought this was a disaster for American interests. I thought that for many years I've advocated against this war. I advocated against a war in Iran with Trump in the first Trump administration. So this is not a new position for me. I don't want to be vindicated in my fears, but unfortunately, I think the very few people who publicly oppose this are being vindicated because I don't know what the case is that this is good for the United States. No one's even attempting to make that case. So instead they say, well, you hate Jews, to which I always say, well, not only do I not hate Jews, I think anti-Semitism is immoral. It's against my religion. Shut up, you hate Jews. And that is designed to do a bunch of different
hating. That's funny. He's like, no, but hating Jewish people is against my religion, even though he is a Christian. And the first commandment says to not, if you're not worshiping the right God, you're evil. And I know, even though those 10 commandments, I get it, were written by the Jewish God, apparently. But Jesus, they reject Jesus, which is the quote unquote actual God. So the first commandment would be in contradiction with Christianity, according to Jewish people. But so, and then, you have to view them as being immoral because they're breaking the commandment by worshiping the wrong God. So, but I mean, I guess, he's trying to say he doesn't hate him, but I don't believe that at all.
different things, create more loyalty.
He does hate him. He hates him.
Loyalty to Israel. There's so much anti-Semitism. You must be loyal to Israel. That's definitely one of the aims of this. Another is to imperil the person you're calling a Nazi because Nazis get shot. Everyone knows that. And the third is to make people.
Nazis get shot. It's all the time. Then why is Trump still here? Like, what's up with that? That's weird. Nick Fuentes seems to be doing fine. What is he talking about? All Nazis just get shot. That's what happens. Just all of a sudden, just nobody's even really shooting. They just get shot randomly. It's weird.
People who disagree with you or who platform those who might disagree with you or Bibi Netanyahu, censor them, take them off the air, shut them up, silence them. Those are the points of it. But at no juncture have I ever met anybody who has laid out like a kind of reasonable, even slightly fantastical, but just like logical case for how this war will benefit the United States, make us stronger, safer, richer. I've never heard that case. I'm waiting for it. I would love to hear it. I'd love to believe it.
And currently we've got like multiple. I mean, what was the other day? We had like, I want to say it was like 4 different bomb threats all at the same time. And they were like, all of the all of these airports being like shut down because there were all these bomb threats and everything, due to this stupid war that nobody can like justify in any reasonable way. It's insane. So definitely doesn't make us safer. And not to mention, like, if we do plummet that area into complete chaos, which is what seems to be the absolute goal here, that's just a breeding ground for terrorists. Like, this is what happens when those kinds of environments are created. You get terrorists. You get all the, it gets extremists. People like become insane and enraged for kind of like decent reason. You've destroyed their way of life. You've destroyed their whole everything. Their families a lot of times have been blown to pieces and everything. That causes people to kind of be a little bit extreme about things, they tend to go join groups that are like rebel groups and stuff like that. And militias and shit. Like, it just makes good sense. So why are you creating conditions to do that? It's literally making our lives over here in the US less safe and secure. So it just doesn't, none of this jives with anything that makes any kind of sense whatsoever.
You were in the Oval Office with President Trump. You were photographed with him. You met him, I think, maybe 3 times in the months leading up to this war. And I presume you discussed the potential for war in Iran with him. Did you try and persuade him that this would be a terrible idea?
Appreciate you.
Of course, that's why I went 3 times in a month, 5 weeks maybe.
Well, maybe he's bringing me some Starbucks.
Yeah, that's why I went. And I've known him a long time, as you have, and always gotten along with him, still get along with him. I still like him. I'll always like him no matter what happens.
That's your first problem right there. You're allowed to not like people once they are genocidally psychotic. You can be like, okay, I don't like the person anymore. In fact, I would encourage that. We shouldn't have just people liking people just in perpetuity, no matter what.
Because I like him as a...
It kind of seems that's the whole problem with the MAGA, everything, is that they're like, no, I've already decided that I'm always going to approve everything that he does, and I'm still going to like the guy no matter what. And I'm, unlike Tucker Carlson, actually, I'm never going to criticize anything he does, says, causes. It doesn't matter. I'm always a supporter, and I've decided that is in perpetuity. That will never change. That is from now till fucking forever. Don't care what he does.
Guy. And I think he's trying his best, but in this case, I couldn't have an effect. I tried sincerely. I wasn't getting paid for it. It's coming, of course, at some reputational cost. No one wants to deal with being called a Nazi, screamed at, or threatened, or having your kids threatened, which has happened to me.
Well, I mean, you have said some Nazi type stuff, man. Like, what the fuck?
A lot. And no one wants to deal with that. But I just felt that this was so serious that it was worth doing whatever I could, because...
People were calling him a Nazi because of the Israel criticism. It's so weird. This whole thing is so funny. But because they conflate any criticism with Israel with anti-Semitism, which is just a complete category error. Those are 2 different things. You're equivocating. It's like when you change definitions of a word halfway through your argument, that's called an equivocation. You're changing it violates the logical law of identity. It's basically saying like, this is the thing that I'm talking about, but it serves my argument more to swap out the thing I'm talking about with something else, and then applying that to the same argument and act like it all still leads to the same conclusion. It's not. It's a fallacy. You're just saying that this is that doesn't make this that. Like, saying that criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism doesn't make it so.
My gosh, people could die. The balance of power globally could change. I've never supported the idea of an American empire, but we have one, and it's in retreat, but there's a way to manage that that's not damaging or profoundly damaging to the United States, the country that I actually live in, that I was born in. And this is not the way. Wars accelerate trends in progress. They bring massive and unexpected change. Every war does this. It's the nature of war. The second people start dying, all kinds of things you never anticipated will happen. And you can't control them. You lose control.
What a weird way to say that. As soon as people start dying, people, like, all sorts of things change. Like, it sets off all of the yeah. No, that's, I guess that's such a weird way to say that, but yeah.
Of the process.
And it's almost like, is he saying it like it's scary? Like the wars bring progress? Is he saying that because it causes the authoritarian? Yeah, because he just said a minute ago that like wars cause authoritarianism to be more prominent, or to be more popular, I guess. But like, and then he's saying, but that leads to progression. I don't know if he's talking about progressive policies, but like maybe he's saying that that's in the response to the authoritarianism that, it gets more progressive.
Covered wars. I certainly watched a lot, read about a lot. I'm not an expert, but I try to apply obvious lessons through history to present day realities. And that was the first thing I said to the president and anyone else who would listen. Once this starts, the world is going to find out exactly how strong we are, which is not something you necessarily want to reveal. An implied threat is much more effective. In other words,
the weird thing is, like, we are actually, or we should be anyway, very strong, the strongest on earth, right? But when you have such an incompetent administration that can't seem to do the most basic shit correctly, it's not, you're not strong. In fact, like, that's what kind of worries me right now about going to war at this particular moment. And you got these complete idiots in charge of like Homeland Security and stuff. Have you seen them? Like, they don't know what the hell they're even saying 90% of the time. Like, half the time they're just kissing Trump's ass. They're like, that's my job, is just to like kiss Trump's ass. That's it. I don't know what everybody else is expecting me to do here. My job is to kiss Trump's ass. When you have that kind of like incompetence and people that don't even know what the hell they're doing in charge of some of the highest levels of office, and you got this complete like disaster going on in the Middle East and everything, like that are again cultivating terrorists basically, because of the chaos and all that. And the harm that we're doing over there. And then you got Homeland Security being led by these complete idiots. Like, we're unsafe. We're like wide open for attack. I don't trust that they're going to do a good job of like maintaining the border and stuff, or like maintaining like the protecting the citizens from like attacks and stuff, from IEDs or whatever else. Like, I just don't think they've actually thought this kind of stuff through. I don't think they think through that. Done. That's it. I'm done talking. Period. I don't think they think through. That's it. That's the end of the sentence. Because they're insane, all of them, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. And, and we've seen this over and over and over again to the point of like comedic levels. So where you're just like, I mean, what's her name in the Dow has reached 5,000. That wouldn't fly in The Office. The writers of The Office would be like, okay, man, come on, can we rewrite this whole scene with nobody's going to buy that. Even for a comedy show, that's stupid. That's too stupid. Nobody will buy that. That's even something that could happen in the plot of this show. That's how stupid it is. And it fucking happened.
It's like, if we're squaring off for a fight and you look huge, you've been lifting a lot, I'm afraid of you, but I don't really know what you're capable of until I hit you or you hit me. And then we find out, and maybe it turns out you have no heart, and you lose. War is kind of the great reveal, and you don't necessarily want to go there, especially if you've ruled the world without question for 80 years and your capabilities have
Operation Ivy. Oh yeah, dude. Love Operation Ivy. You're so great. One of the greatest, I think, bands ever. Short run, it seems, as they turned into Rancid there, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's not exactly turned into Rancid, but you know what I mean. But yeah, love that band.
Never really been tested. You haven't fought a big country really since 1953 when the Chinese entered the Korean War. So like, you don't really know what you're capable of, and you don't really want to find out. Let's not find out. How's that? But I lost. So as you can see.
Did you, when you were talking to him, Tucker, did you get a sense that he was on the fence about it, that he was potentially persuadable, or did you feel that he was minded to do it, notwithstanding what you were trying to persuade him to the otherwise?
Well, this was over the course of a month, and that included, so I went there 3 times, but I also talked by phone a bunch, and with him about this. And a lot of other people did too, to advocate for it.
So Tucker's like actually calling Trump and talking to him about this kind of stuff. Wow, that is absurd to think that he's sitting there talking to Trump about this. He's just got people like him, people that have been fired from those, reputable news organizations like Fox News, which went on the record to say that they were not a news organization because nobody could possibly be stupid enough to believe any of the claims that Fox News says. That's an actual legal argument from, the lawsuit regarding Tucker Carlson. That was literally their argument, was nobody be stupid enough to believe this idiot. It's entertainment. This is news entertainment. It's not actually news. Anyway, he got fired from that. Now he does his own thing where he's, basically just a conspiracy theorist that is almost as just divisive, I guess, as like Tim Pool or whatever, but he's a little bit more highbrow than Tim Pool, but barely, not really. Anyway, and he's the one who's able to have the ear of the president regularly, being able to talk to him on the fucking phone. Jesus Christ, we're in trouble.
A lot of people. I don't think many people within the White House were advocating for it, is my sense. Not that I would really know. I don't work there, but my sense is there weren't a lot of cabinet secretaries saying, oh gosh, we got to have a war with Iran. But there were a number of people from the outside who were all sort of visible. You kind of know who they are, donors and advocates for Israel who were advocating for it. And my sense is his view started to change. Well, obviously it did because he did it, but at no point did I detect an enthusiasm for it. He didn't seem eager to do it. He didn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. That sounds fair. I don't have a problem with that.
But he said that he took out the nuclear weapons like weeks ago. So it's just like, what the so now it's so weird that he's even trying to be consistent at this point. He's like, shit, I already told him. I already said that we got rid of it. Whoa, boy, my lies are going to be inconsistent now. Like, that's like, I don't expect Trump to even think that far. You know what I mean? But he said that they already blew up all their nuclear capabilities and all that type of stuff. The irony here is that Iran was in, they had agreed to the whatever, like to not get the amount of uranium or whatever that was needed to be able to make any kind of bombs at all. They were in compliance with the demands of the U.S. That's why it just makes no sense whatsoever that we just started bombing them. It has to be just that Netanyahu told him to. That's it. That is the only person, it seems, that Trump will not just defy just for the sake of fucking defiance, because everybody else he manages to be like, fuck yeah, like I'll do what I want, and be a dick to about everything, but not Netanyahu for some reason. It's really strange. It's like, when he says to bow down, Trump does it. He's just like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do you have a boot I can lick? That's right. You want to put the doggy leash on my neck? I'll do that. Yep, you could walk me. You could walk the doggy. That's right. I'll do it. You want to put that weird thing on the penis so it keeps it from being able to get an erection? I'll wear one of those too if you want. You got a couple of those? That'd be great.
I don't want anyone to have nuclear weapons. I want Israel to have nuclear weapons. I don't want France to have nuclear weapons. I mean, you know, that's a pretty reasonable position. But the idea that you would go into some kind of conflict that could very easily become a ground invasion, or who knows what it becomes.
Regime change Israel. Can we regime change here? How about that? You know, we could use one. I feel like we could use a little, you know, a regime change, right? I could deal with that. You know, I could deal with the Venezuela kind of situation. You can kidnap them, right? You know, and then you could take our oil or whatever. We'll figure it out. You know, we'll put somebody in charge that is willing to work with you, whomever it is that would be doing the regime change for us. Anyway,
you know, a nuclear exchange. Who knows? He was not eager to do that, from what I could tell. And again, you know, people tailor their positions to the audience, but I talked to him a lot. I never one time got the feeling he can't wait to do it, but I also felt
I can't wait to just start bombing Iran. That's right.
It turned out to be correct that there was an enormous amount of pressure on him, like enormous. I mean, clearly there was an enormous amount of pressure. Where exactly did it come from? It wasn't just
as the result of the Jared Kushner effect. Yeah, unfortunately, I can see that.
Yeah. From Mark Thiessen of the Washington Post.
That guy is a freak, man. I swear to God, that guy goes home and unzips his skin every night, and there's a gray alien that just lives inside that guy's skin. I will put money on it. I think, you know, like the bug in Men in Black, there's a gray with a skin suit, and his name is Jared Kushner. That's right.
Who was calling a lot to demand more killing. Mark has a lifelong track record of doing that, but no one cares what Mark Thiessen thinks. I felt strongly, and I feel strongly now, that there were forces that were forcing him in this direction. And
there were forces forcing him.
In fact, the Secretary of State, as you said in your intro, admitted as much out loud and said, Netanyahu said, we're going to go first, and you can either, you know, watch your assets get destroyed and your people get killed in the Middle East, or you can join us. The question, though, is
and that right there was what was said first, right? By Rubio. Rubio said that. And like they were like, hey, like why are we going to war with Iran and everything? Rubio was like, well, Israel's going to attack them, and so we don't want to get attacked in response. So we're just going to attack first, like before they attack, like, because then they're pushing us. Israel's pushing us into doing this, and so we just got to do it. And then, like the very next day, Trump was like, "No, I didn't do it. That's not right." It's like, we push them. Yeah, actually, I'm the one that does the pushing. I don't know where you think Israel can push us. They're a little teeny tiny. We're a big old country. We're like a postage stamp on the planet, so they can't be pushing. They're like a tenth of a postage stamp, really. They can't be pushing us. No, we push them. That's who we push. And then Rubio the very next day was like, when you said that yesterday, was it? No, that's not what I said. I said something different than what did you? You were here yesterday when I said the thing. I said, well, you should have heard what I actually said. What I meant to say. I mean, what I actually did say that you just didn't understand properly was that no, none of that. So it's like I could not imagine trying to be a politician in the Trump administration. What a nightmare. My God. So sad.
See, I thought that was really, I think, a fascinating moment when Marco Rubio said that, because it prompted Antony Blinken, the former Secretary of State, who'd obviously done his job, to then reveal that Netanyahu had tried to pressurize both Biden and Obama into doing the same thing, using the same pretext of we're going to go and do this anyway. Are you with us or not? And of course, in both those eventualities, the answer was no, and Israel didn't attack. I mean, do you think, knowing that?
So it's almost like, is Trump this dumb that he actually did think You're like, oh shit. Well, if they're gonna do it, did he not know that they had already tried this multiple times, and the Democrats were just like, yeah, no, we're not buying it. Go ahead, have fun. We're not following you into this shit. And then they just didn't. They're like, okay, no, actually, we were actually thinking, since you're not with it, we're gonna wait a minute. Yeah, we're gonna wait a minute. No, we were going to. No, yeah, we were good, but I stubbed my toe. I did. There was something. So I'm just not feeling like it now. But I was going to. So, but Trump didn't know that they were doing that the whole time. So then he just goes along with it. Like, he's just like, oh shit, we better bomb. Let's start bombing that, I guess. So we don't want to get bombed in response to this, to Israel doing it and be caught unaware. So we better just strike. Like, we're gonna do Cobra style. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Now, knowing that from Blinken, do you think Trump may have got played here by Netanyahu?
Well, I already knew that the Israelis had done that in the previous administration. I knew they did it in 1973 with the Nixon administration, where they threatened to use nuclear weapons against the Arabs and forced Henry Kissinger to.
God, that's scary. Yeah. There are a few people in this world that Trump respects and trusts implicitly, but Jared Kushner is one of them. God, and that guy is just awful. Like, he's just one of the worst people ever. I think there was a behind the I can't remember where I heard him, but I think there was a behind the bastards on him. Oh, he is a piece of shit. Anyway, so that's a war crime. There's no statutes of limitations on war crimes. His warrant is coming. Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a just universe, I hope that you're right. But doesn't seem to be panning out so far. But I'd like to think there's some kind of evening the score at some point here, since we basically have just all the most powerful people just unleashing madness on the planet with no signs of slowing.
Okay, arms sales to Israel. So there's a long pattern of this. And I think anyone who knows anything about the Israelis knows that they're capable of this. They're capable of great violence. They take their threats very seriously, maybe too seriously, to the point where they become self-fulfilling. I mean, you could argue about it, but they don't mess around. And of course, this had already happened in this administration. In June, our bombing, the 12-day war in Iran began when the Prime Minister of Israel announced to the administration, I'm doing this week.
Dude, I remember, it's so crazy that these kinds of things happen so frequently. I can't remember when it was. Let me look when it was real quick. There was like I think it was the 7-day war, and it had something to do with Israel. Hold on, it was a 7-day war. And I just remember when that happened, I was at church and everything, and everybody was talking about, or the 6-day war. It wasn't when it happened. I'm sorry. They were just talking about it. And apparently there were the 6-day war. I guess 1967. So definitely wasn't there for that. But I remember people talking about it. And one of the claims, and this is how insane the U.S. is, and Christians in the U.S. about this sort of stuff. They said during the 6-day war, there were trying to think of what soldiers there were anyway, they were enemy soldiers. And apparently there's a bunch of them. Just like, but anyway, they were like, the enemy soldiers supposedly claimed that there were like what was it, like 12-foot tall giants on either side of the tanks. And this was something that was like talked about at my church, just like it was normal. Like, oh yeah, of course, because they're God's people. So and of course the 12-foot giants being reported by the Muslim soldiers or whatever the fuck. Of course, none of that's true. It's not actually verified. It's like, it's absurd. Obviously, all of it. But like, they just believe that shit without question because, it validates their religion. And so often it seems that the religious right, specifically, they're willing to hand wave away everything. As long as whoever it is validates their religion, they do not care about shit else. They're like, do you validate my religion? Are you going to make me feel like I'm more correct being in this insane death cult that I'm in? Okay, but then yeah, go do all the wars you want, especially with Israel. They're total good. Those are God's people. Okay, they can take over the earth for all I care. Okay, those are God's people, man. They had giants next to tanks back in the 60s, dude. So don't want to get in the way of that. What the fuck? Psychotic, man. Jesus.
And my question then, and I raised it, was how about no? How about no? You're a client state. You've got 9 million people. You're the size of New Jersey. You don't make operational decisions. And you certainly don't tell the world's dominant superpower what we're doing next. Like, why would you? That's like getting a lecture from your children. No. And that was my position.
No. I love the way he talks sometimes. It's funny, you know.
Because that seems consistent with the laws of nature. The weaker partner doesn't get to dictate terms. Like, what world are we living in? And whatever, I'm not in charge. So, but that was my position. I think that'd be the position of most rational people. But Israel was.
He tends to say that a lot. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not the one in charge. Stop me. Don't look at me. I didn't do it. I'm not in charge of it. Like, it's just weird. He keeps repeating that shit.
In charge.
Do you want to be in charge, Tucker? Is that what you're saying here? Because you're like, look, I'm not the one. If I was in charge, boy, would everything be awesome.
That war, they started it, and they were in charge of this war. They started it. So this is a difficult thing for the people who advocated for the war to deal with, because their whole purpose is not to help the United States. It's to, and not even to help Israel. It's to help the prime minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. If you're loyal to Israel, if you love the state of Israel, what do you think about what's happening in Tel Aviv and Haifa right now? They just had, apparently, an Iranian rocket land right next to the Church of the Nativity. Luckily, it didn't do much damage. But this isn't helping Israel. There's no real end game for Israel.
I didn't like to totally end up just taking out a bunch of like their holiest sites or whatever, like the like Jesus's tomb and shit like that. Watch that get taken down. My God, these people, and it would make. I mean, they do that. They were like blowing up, like crazy old, artifacts and stuff, but like buildings and stuff, structures that are just super old, like irreplaceable shit. And Israel and the U.S. just blowing it up like it's nothing.
That's going to result in its long-term stability and peace? Of course not. This is a disaster for Israel, actually. Not that I really care, because I'm not Israeli, but I don't want to see any country harmed. And these people are in a very tough spot, because now we've left the rhetoric stage and we're in the kinetic action stage.
And it's like the other thing too is like they were asking for a ceasefire, and Iran was just like, no, I know how this works. I know what it means when you guys go, hey, do a ceasefire, right? It's just for you to go back and gather your weapons, just like to like reload, basically. Like, okay, truce for a few minutes. I got to go back and reload. We're running out of bombs. We got to get up to. And Iran's like, nope. No, you're not gonna get to just like call a timeout. No. We know what happens when you do this. And so they're not waiting. And it's like they underestimated the hell out of these Iranians, dude. This Iranian military, it's a lot more difficult than the U.S. is acting like they would be,
Where the rest of us can just assess outcomes without mediation. Like, who controls the Straits of Hormuz in 3 years? Is there an American military base in Bahrain? What happened to the Fifth Fleet? It used to be there. Where is it now? Who's controlling the energy flows out of the Middle East? These are measurable phenomenon. They're not susceptible to Ben Shapiro being like, wagging his eyebrows at you and telling you you're an anti-Semite. It doesn't matter what he says.
Wagging his eyebrows. He does. That is, he doesn't wag his finger, like church lady. He wags his eyebrows. And boy, they are terrifying. Like he doesn't even like an image consultant or something. Like, what the fuck? Who's dropping the ball on those eyebrows there? Something needs to be done. Okay, because he's like one half a strip away from a fucking unibrow that he could just shake the entire thing at you. And I, I don't know what that would do. I just feel like there'd be like if he was like some kind of Mortal Kombat player, I feel like he would do something with his eyebrows. He would do like an eyebrow whip, right? Where he just like whips his face at you, right? Just one of these, and the eyebrows go and like shoot off and cut him up into little pieces or something. I don't know, but I feel like he would have an eyebrow based fatality, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
And so it puts them in a very tough spot. How do they respond? Well, we know from the Iraq War, not a single person is ever going to admit he was wrong, ever. One of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life was admit that I was wrong about the Iraq War, and I was ashamed of it. I remain ashamed of it. But once you say I was wrong and I'm sorry, this tremendous weight lifts off your shoulders.
Shut up. You're not allowed to do that, dude. Hey, you're a Republican, man. You're not ever allowed to be wrong. You got to stop. Okay. Y'all have absolute certainty about everything you do. Even if you do the opposite of what you just did a few seconds ago, you're always right no matter what, even if it's logically contradictory. Doesn't matter. You always got to be right. You can never say that you're wrong. Hello. I mean, this is MAGA Trump conservatism, dude. What the hell are you doing? Get the memo, bro.
You don't have to lie anymore. And that is what liberation actually is. None of these people will do that. None. They feel no compunction and they won't. So instead what they're doing is they're just going bonkers on the attack because, and this is a precept that Israel lives by, the best defense is a strong offense. So rather than like debating you on the terms or admitting that they were wrong in their—
I think that he's got that backwards. That's not right. That's not. I thought the best offense is a good defense, right? That's how that goes. Is that just in baseball or no?
forecasts, and there was no popular uprising in Iran, and we've lost control of the world's energy, they're going to say, Piers Morgan, you're a Nazi. Megyn Kelly, you're a Nazi. And you're just like—
I mean, they are, but it's for very different reasons. Megyn Kelly definitely more so than Piers Morgan, but not much more so.
What? That is a kind of insulation that they're constructing around themselves to prevent, well, any kind of soul searching about how did I get it so wrong? And all these people died because I was wrong. They don't want to deal with that. But it also allows them just like keep going on to the next war of conquest or the next satanic disaster that they'll—
Satanic. Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if he was going to get into the satanic aspect of all of this stuff.
back, which they will.
Have you spoken to President Trump since the war began?
I just through proxies. Like,
oh my God. Wow. One more time. Hold on. I think I might need to clip this out.
Have you spoken to President Trump since the war began?
I just through proxies. Like, he called me names.
Look at this awkward like laugh. Hey, he's laughing like a crazy person. I gotta laugh along. Otherwise, my face is really gonna give away the disgust that is in my brain right now. Just do a fake laugh. Go. Just do brain. Give me a fake laugh, please. Anything, any kind of laugh will do right now. Brain, come on.
Names or said I was too dumb to understand MAGA or something. I wasn't, from my perspective, a real attack. I can't. I admit my weaknesses up front. Okay, I like pizza, which is wrong.
That is pretty evil. What the hell are you even doing? I mean, especially if he says that he likes it with pineapple on there, he needs to go to hell right this goddamn second. Holy shit.
I like Donald Trump, which is,
it's almost as bad as the pineapple thing, but close second, right? Close second. He likes Trump. That's evil as well. But the pineapple thing on the pizza, holy shit.
Increasingly hard to defend, but I do. And I don't anticipate any kind of personal tiff with Trump. I think he was in an impossible spot. I think it's very obvious now.
He tends to keep himself in impossible spots, doesn't he? It's like it's his own doing every single time. He's got all three branches of government. He's got a completely taken Supreme Court. He's got absolutely all the power he could possibly need to make everything fucking awesome for everybody in America. And he just doesn't. He just makes things worse. every single goddamn day. Why? Because we figured out that, he's part of a big child SA ring with the Epstein files and everything. And so he's got to, try to distract from that and everything.
Now that the U.S. president, under our current system, which I pray changes soon, doesn't have the latitude that people thought he had. Like, presidents can't just make whatever decision they want in the interest of their country. There are other forces hemming them in. We don't have sovereignty in a real way. Clearly, we don't. If we're following a country of 9 million people into a war that could displace us as the dominant superpower, we don't have sovereignty. I mean, by definition. And I think every president has felt that since John F. Kennedy was murdered. And clearly they all have. And they've acted within it, with wisdom or not, but they're still acting within boundaries that they didn't set, that no American did.
Can you please pause
And
thank you. I'm trying to have a conversation about pizza over here. Okay. The Swedes have banana on their pizza? What? That's not even. How can that even be a thing? How do you fit a banana on there? I'm picturing just like a whole banana just on top. Like, put that in the oven with it. Yeah, just stick it in there. Just the whole banana right on top. It reminds me of those Cuban things that I do not like. Those Cuban things. I don't know what I always forget what they're called. But they're like bananas. They put them on the side of all their meals. I don't like those things. What the hell are they doing in there? They don't go with any of the other food. What the fuck? Anyway, pineapple belongs on pizza. Trump belongs in prison. That's wow. They're both, something's wrong. I mean, the second one, you're right, but putting those both in the same sentence makes it sound like Trump doesn't belong in prison because you're saying the wrong thing about the pizza. Anyway, let's get back to the interview here.
It's time to change that system, not because you hate Israel or you're anti-Semitic. I mean, I'm not anti-Semitic. I don't hate Israel at all. I'm never going to. But that's not and the damn right we do with the banana and pineapple. You put both on them. What the oh my God, what is happening? That is I'm never going there to eat pizza, at least. The way
I'll go there to maybe get like some medical care, since I hear they do that better than we do in the US anyway.
A sovereign country behaves or should have to behave. And Americans have earned the right to live under a government that makes decisions on their behalf for their benefit. I mean, it's that simple.
What Trump said about you was quite revealing, actually, because he said Tucker's lost his way. He's not MAGA. MAGA is saving our country. MAGA is making our country great again. MAGA is America first, and Tucker is none of these things. And Tucker's really not smart enough to understand that. Now, having been on the receiving end of Trump's...
What the hell, dude? It's so funny, like, how he can say this stuff. Like, oh, MAGA is making America great again. MAGA is like, putting America first and all this stuff. There's no possible way you could make that argument about anything that's actually happening in reality. It's like they have to have this special false, like, multiverse reality of nonsense over here that, like, he has to have his MAGA base live inside of in order for them to, like, act like everything that he's doing is what's best for America and Americans and everything like that. Like, the gas prices are going up. Like, the one fucking thing that you can typically rely on Republicans for is cheap gas. That's like the one thing, because of course, all the oil industry people or whatever, they're all in bed with the Republicans. So like every time a Republican is in charge, the prices drop because they're like, hey, we want more Republicans to be in power, so we're going to drop the prices or whatever. However they do it. Or maybe the tax cuts too, possibly. And they're the only industry that slightly passes those tax cuts down to the people. Anyway, but they can't even do that. They can't even fucking do that right. Because now the gas prices are skyrocketing. It's psychotic. Hey, Bree, what's going on? How you doing? Bree's buzzing by, everybody. Oh, yeah. Anyway, back to the nonsense.
Savage rhetoric from time to time. That is pretty low base for him. But it was an interesting point about what constitutes MAGA, because of course there are many people with pretty short to midterm memories who can remember Trump campaigning so vociferously to his MAGA base before the last election on saying, look, we're going to be America first. We're not going to go marching into Middle Eastern countries anymore. We're not going to wage foreign wars. We're not going to interfere in other countries.
And you hear what their response is to that? He said, forever wars. He didn't say, well, I'm not going to go to war. He said, I'm not going to go to forever war. Pay attention. Listen. Hello, y'all. You're not listening when Trump's saying stuff, okay? He didn't say we're not going to go to war. He's saying we're going to get in and get out, okay? We're gonna be like, never mind. I was going to make a sexual reference, and I'm not going to do that. But yeah, we're just getting in, getting out. That's all we're trying to do. And that makes it so he didn't say anything incorrect when he was saying, I'm against the forever wars that the Democrats are all about.
And we're going to fix the economy in the United States. We're going to get the cost of living prices down. We're going to end inflation.
And definitely did not deliver on that. Although he seems to be just saying that he did, which is pretty incredible. He has this weird way of thinking that he can Jedi mind trick the public into not seeing the prices of everything around them. And be like, no, actually, these are low prices, but I don't think it only works on the most idiotic of his base, which is, like 95% of them.
And it seems to me that it might be that President Trump has either forgotten what he said or wants to try.
That's possible. He does seem to do. I can imagine he does forget a lot of the things he said.
And reframe what MAGA really means. Because if you're a MAGA voter, you must be slightly mystified. You may not want to admit it publicly because you think it betrays Trump, but you must be
which is so sad. And that's so accurate. Like, I can't say what I think publicly because that would be betrayal for the loyalty that I have to this individual that I'm obsessed with. Because that's, because it's a cult. That's why.
Mystified that within a year of winning back the White House, the guy that campaigned on not going into the Middle East again, not waging foreign wars, focusing on America first and the US economy, has now launched the biggest war in the Middle East in my lifetime that America has waged. And that has inevitably sparked the biggest economic meltdown we've seen as a consequence of a war, not least because, as you said, about the Strait of Hormuz and the damage that is inflicting and the simultaneous attacks on the Gulf states and all the fallout from that. So it seems to me that he may want to come after you for not really understanding MAGA, but I'm not sure that many in the MAGA movement, if they're really honest, can be comfortable with what is happening here.
The main thing that you need to pay attention to is the word honest. If they're being honest, they're not ever. That's the thing, they're not. And the main person that they are not being honest with is actually the average of the 5 people that they spend the most time with. So that's who they're lying to the most, if you know what I mean.
I mean, look, I've never claimed to be a genius because I'm not a genius. And so it's entirely possible.
Well, that's good that you don't claim to be a genius then.
There are motives I don't understand. I certainly tried to understand in many conversations with him, but maybe I didn't. I'll keep that possibility open. And as for what MAGA is, it's a slippery definition. I mean, I think George Orwell wrote a bunch of books about this, including Animal Farm. Definitions change. I remember someone pointing to a picture of 100% black people once and telling me that's diversity. Or thinking, looks like uniformity, actually. Like, what do these words mean? I don't know. I do know what America first.
Oh my God. But on a side note here, did you see that there is like an actual movie coming out of Animal Farm that is directed by Andy Serkis? So that'll be fun. Let's see. I'm kind of surprised that they are making that movie. Just given how, how much it challenges the power structure and everything like that. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that. But and it's like an actual animated film too. It looks like Zootopia or something. It's amazing. Can't wait.
Means because it's a much more precise description, and it means you put America first in every decision that you make as an American leader. And this, by that definition, falls far short. In fact, it is by definition not America first, because the administration has already said we followed the lead of a foreign country in doing this. We put their interest first. And I think most people, no matter how they feel about Israel, whether they love it or hate it, or it doesn't matter. It's nothing to do with this specific country. It has to do with any country that might be leading us around, particularly to our destruction, and putting its interests before ours. Our leaders can never agree to that, period, because it is the opposite of America first. So, his whatever Trump said about me, I didn't take it personally. I suspect he doesn't really mean it. I've always gotten along with him for 30 years. I expect
He didn't mean it. Look, we're bros, okay? We all know how this goes, right? We get a little bit too loose-lipped at the punk show, find each other in the pit, and beat the fuck out of each other. And then we're buddies the next day. They're like, "Oh man, you did clock me something good. You're gonna pay for my dental, right? Like, because I gotta get that tooth replaced. And and you also knocked out a filling. You're gonna help me with that shit, right?" But they're like, "No, but we'll be boys anyway."
In fact, I always will. But on this one specific question, America first, we can say this was not America first. This was at least America second. I do think it's
Probably America last. But anyway.
It's obvious that Israel understood, because they're not stupid, that the effect of this war would be to get the United States out of the Middle East. And unfortunately, I think that will be the effect. And they want that, because why would you want a dominant power in your region telling you what to do and hemming you in, as the U.S. has to Israel? No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. We may not mean it, but we still hassle them over used to hassle them over, say, the West Bank settlements. They want the U.S. out. And they're...
That's an interesting perspective. I had not thought of that. I was always thinking that it was the opposite, that Israel was always the one telling us what to do, and us where to go. And because we have this weird loyalty for Israel in this country on either side of the aisle too, by the way. I mean, this is why Trump was able to convincingly make the case that Kamala Harris would be dragging us into Israel first forever wars forever, because Democrats were very much so pro-Israel, even as recent as the previous administration, Biden. So yeah, it's really weird, but I never thought about it from that perspective of like, hey, eventually, and I don't think this is now, but I do think eventually, yeah, Israel's going to want us the fuck out of there, even though at this point, in this juncture, we are, as the U.S. Military and everything is concerned, their greatest ally, and the hundreds of fucking billions of fucking dollars that were given to them constantly. That's a big aspect to this as well. So I think they like that, right? But yeah, I guess they don't like being told what to do, but it doesn't really seem like that's happening very often, as long as it's a Republican in office. Because the one thing that at least Kamala Harris was able to do, at least the tiniest bit, was criticize Israel for some of the shit they were doing, specifically to the Palestinians, that whole genocide that's going on over there.
Moving to India. Okay, that's their calculation. But how is that good for me as an American? It's not. So America first. Yeah, this was not America first, whatever it was.
Well, what is very interesting is that I can't remember a war that once it started, where American forces have been committed by an American president, where there hasn't been majority support for that war in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not wrong. Half of Trump's cabinet talks mass shit about him in 2016 and vice versa. But they just reverse course. It's like nothing they say means anything. It's insane. Because black isn't the real thing, there is indeed more diversity among people of direct African descent than there is for the entire rest of the globe. Yeah, I don't think he really understands the diaspora type of situation they got going on there. But yeah, he doesn't get that. Diversity within a group. No, everything's just the way white people understand. Animal Farm is about the Russian Revolution of 1917. I just hope they don't lose that. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it was a specific thing. I thought it was kind of just like in general, power structures and revolution and whatnot. Anyway.
This is the first time where there isn't. There's a majority of a lack of support for it. Americans are not, they're not buying this war. They don't want it. They don't really understand it. And they're very concerned about the consequences.
Yet, for some reason, the most recent poll for Trump is that he's like up there with what, George Bush and Obama or something like that with the most recent polling. It's fucking psychotic. It's so weird. It's like, what the hell happened? How do we, Americans just love war, I guess. They're just like, oh, cool, we're going to blow people up. Yeah, so I love those Rambo movies, you know? They're always blowing people up and stuff, you know? Remember when he took out the pin from that one guy's, the grenade that was attached to him, wrapped the thing around his neck and kicked him down that hole? That was awesome. Yeah, hope they do some of that over there.
The only people who support this war are those born between 1946 and 1964 who watch a lot of Fox News. That's it. I'm not attacking Americans.
Oh, what kind of people are those? Boomers? So boomers that watch a lot of Fox News. That's it. Those are the people that are cool with all this, because they just love war, you know? Like, in my day, we were always going to war.
They're my equals as Americans. I love a lot of them. But their perspective on the U.S. and the world is very different from everyone else's. Very, very different. And so they're not the ones who got Donald Trump elected, actually. The people who got Donald Trump elected are the people who hadn't voted for Republicans before or even voted at all before. And they're like Joe Rogan listeners, or people who use nicotine pouches. They're Hispanic voters. They're young black men.
Aren't you a nicotine pouch? You know, he's like a psycho nicotine addict. Like they said that he goes through, and I can't remember who it was that was talking about his behavior when they spent like an afternoon with Tucker Carlson. They said he would go through like 3 or 4 of those pouches like every couple of hours. Like he would do, and they're like in like super strong nicotine pouches, to the point where it's like stronger than if you just were like smoking 3 packs of cigarettes per day or something. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That's why they said like he would get all like crazy and like laugh all nuts and like be all like twitchy and everything, which makes pretty good sense. You know, I was always thinking cocaine myself, but that could work too. That's poor man's cocaine right there, nicotine.
And they're non-traditional Republican voters who voted for Trump because he promised not to keep doing the same thing. And one of the things he promised not to do again was to hand operational authority over to Benjamin Netanyahu, as other presidents have. We don't want any more of that. Why would we? And we're not going to like make Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro, who have almost no organic support in the media world. Like no one really watches them.
Oh God, he is just doing all of these little like jabs to Ben Shapiro, because apparently Ben Shapiro recently has been like trying to call him out like so much, and it's just not working out for him, mainly because like he's trying to dismiss all of the war crimes and everything that even the Republicans can see is insane. So yeah, he's kind of fallen off, which is sort of funny if you ask me, but whatever.
We're not going to hand control of our foreign policy over to people like that who don't know anything and who don't have America's interests at heart or even in mind. So breaking faith with those people, those voters, the ones who actually got Trump elected and whose coalition promised a new day in American politics, that's a big deal. It's a betrayal on the level that I don't think people who aren't in those groups can understand. Like, this is heartbreaking. And by the way, a lot of those people really like Trump. They like his style. They think he's hilarious. He's brave. You know, he's just like, they like him.
He's brave? What? Are you kidding me? He's hilarious, dude. He's just like the funniest guy, you know. He's just his tight five is like 4 hours long, and we love every second of it.
And to see this is, it's so wounding. It hurts.
It's wounding. Okay, interesting word to use there. I don't feel like I've heard that word used that way in the last ever. Yeah, ever.
You know, I've got a bunch who work for me. I'm related to some, they're all Trump voters. And I talked to them in the last 24 hours. Boy, they're upset. They're not just mad, like, I hate Israel. That's not the impulse. They're definitely starting to hate Israel. Why wouldn't they? Our relationship with Israel is hurting us gravely. It's getting Americans killed.
Yeah.
So they're mad, but it's more than mad.
Yeah. So in the 90s, the late 90s saw a few years without war. Oh, boy. Oh, the 90s, I got a cassette. I just was decorating my wall, just because I got a bunch of stuff for it. And I got a cassette up there, and I was like, oh, the 90s, man. Remember when shit wasn't completely insane? Remember when they tried to impeach a president because he got his dick sucked? Those are the days. That would never even be brought to the articles would never even be brought in the first place right now, because they'd be like, what are you talking about? It's great. Trump's done that like 18 times. He doesn't care. Nobody cares. All right. But back then we had some integrity, not much, but some. Oh God. Anyway, so maybe he's jealous of his amazing eyebrow. who Ben Shapiro's amazing eyebrow? They are quite thick. I almost wonder if he puts that special hair grow product in his eyebrows just every day. He's like, I'm going to put some Miracle Grow, but the hair kind of Miracle Grow, not the kind for the plants. Hair Miracle Grow in his eyebrows. I don't know. It's the only thing I can think of. How did they get like that? It's not human.
I can't believe he did this to us. I feel just so depressed about it.
How politically damaging could it be? We've got the midterms coming up in November. There were already a lot of reports that it was likely the Republicans would lose control of the House. Now I'm reading more reports that it may be that they even lose the Senate, which would render Trump, notwithstanding all his kind of mystical powers, to...
Yeah, because Trump he doesn't do anything without Congress's approval and stuff. So man, this is really gonna ham him up.
Avoid the normal norms of politics in America. If you don't have control of the House and the Senate, you are a lame duck president, period, end. There's pretty much nothing more you can do.
That's true now. I mean, I think the conversation has moved on from the president. It's not an attack on him. He still, of course, is commander-in-chief. He threatened some kind of mass destruction of Iran yesterday. It sounded like a nuclear strike to me. So, he has the capacity to make decisions. He's the president, elected president.
That's the other freaky thing, is that they keep talking about, like, it's like he won't say it. Like, so he's not like, yeah, there's going to be a nuclear bomb. But mass destruction, I mean, I guess you can say that could be like a bunch of carpet bombing or something like that. But like Tucker Carlson got the same message that I did, which was nuclear bombs. That's what it sounds like. And if that happens, I don't even know. I don't even want to think about what that could do if we pull at that thread. I don't think it's going to turn out well for the entire planet.
However, as a political matter, that era is over for the reasons I just described. I didn't want that to be true, but the coalition is permanently fractured. He was not elected because of Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro did not get Donald Trump elected. A lot of the people Trump is now attacking got Donald Trump elected. Marjorie Taylor Greene, et cetera. So that coalition.
Yeah, and he completely turned on her. One of the people that were the most loyal to him in the second, she wasn't 100% loyal to every single thing. He wants everybody to behave like whatever. The second she stepped slightly out of line with his absolute demand of like fealty or whatever the fuck. She was thrown out. He vilified her to his face. She immediately started getting death threats. And then when she called him and was like, "Hey, I'm getting death threats and shit because of like the stuff you're saying," he's like, "That's all on you. That's your fault. You shouldn't have been slightly less loyal to me."
Is done. The Republican Party, as currently constituted, will not continue because it doesn't represent its voters. It doesn't even try to represent its voters. In fact, it shows open hostility to its voters. So nothing like that can continue for very long because it doesn't make any sense. It's a bicycle with square wheels. It's ludicrous. So the question is, what comes next? And I do think it's possible to recreate some version of the 2020 Trump coalition or the 2024 Trump coalition on the basis of his core promise, which is just put the country first. And like, you're going to make mistakes and we're not exactly sure how to fix certain things, but let's all try. And by the way, let's be united as we do it.
Oh yeah, let's be united as we do it. Okay, now I really can't take this guy seriously. Come on, dude. Yeah, we're gonna be united. That's it. Jesus, unbelievable. Okay, before we finish up, I gotta show you this. And it I was on the Twitters, as the kiddos say, and there's this there is this clip going around of this dude on SNL playing Tucker Carlson that is just hilarious. So hold on one second. Let me find it real quick. Has anybody seen this? You guys know what I'm talking about? It is so funny. Hold on, let me share the thing, and then we'll find it together. We'll do it together. There you go. All right. Hold on. What the fuck's that? Was it trending? I can't remember where it was. Damn, he's like third. He's trending. Wow, he's trending quite a bit. See, what is it, Tucker? Just Tucker. Here it is. Can y'all see this? Oh, it's a little one. Sorry. All right, now let me make it.
What are we doing? What's going on?
I love that.
All right, coming in hot. Well, how do you feel about this?
So what's going on? That is just so spot on. Like, he does that so frequently. I don't know who this guy is on SNL. If he's new or what. I don't really watch SNL anymore. Every so often they got a pretty good like cold open or something. But yeah, this cracked me up though. Gotta be honest. I know it's you know what the crazy thing is? It's so difficult. It's gotta be so difficult for SNL to like do what SNL does, because reality tends to out SNL constantly, which is frustrating, because I almost feel like this exact segment was on Tucker Carlson at some point. They're like, oh man, they like the movie Sinners, and because everybody hates God and everything. Like, it's just it's like you can't even make parodies of this shit anymore. It's just too the reality is more of a parody than anything they could come up with. Oh. Hold on, I gotta say hey to Lago real quick. What's up, Lago? How we doing, dude? That's it. By the way, my son and I just saw Bad Religion and they were playing with Offspring. Hell yeah, dude. Just saw Bad Religion and Offspring in Fargo, North Dakota. Nice. Last month. The show was fucking awesome. Oh, I bet, dude. Holy shit. That's so cool. It's so weird to think too that the Offspring came from their record label. Like, it was them. Like, Bad Religion owns the label and of course, you know, they got huge. The Offspring like got on Universal Records and everything, but they originally were just on Epitaph, which is owned by Brett, what's his name? Brett some. And, he's a guitarist of Bad Religion. So that it's just kind of funny that you think like, oh man, they like Bad Religion was kind of like the original that bands like Offspring were listening to when they then exploded. Just kind of crazy. But hell yeah, but you had fun, dude. Wish I could have been there. Yeah, except for the North Dakota part. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle it there. Seems kind of rough as far as climate shit goes, There's temperatures and all that. I'm from Florida, okay? We don't do anything over or under 70 degrees. If we do, we just immediately start to die. I said both lead singers being college graduates was yeah. Well, and that is funny because like one of the things you're absolutely right. Like Greg Graffin of Bad Religion, he is a professor of evolutionary biology at the University of California. And what was it? Noodles? Was it Noodles? Of or Dexter? Anyway, I can't remember who it was of Offspring that also went and I think got a doctorate or something. Anyway, all really smart guys, to say the least. In fact, I think that was like what they were doing the band for was like to pay for college, if I'm not mistaken. But hell yeah, dude, that is super awesome. But let's check out this little bit more, and then we're gonna call it for the day. That is cadence and everything. The laugh too, spot on, dude. That was you could see him be like, "Holy shit, dude, this guy's good." Just dead on every way you could possibly be good at the Tucker Carlson impression. This guy hits it on every level. It's not what that wasn't part of the movie. That movie was awesome, by the way. I don't know if I've talked about that on here yet. Kick-ass movie. Holy shit. Definitely watch that one. That was a good one.
I'm genuinely asking. I did not see that movie.
Tucker Carlson, everyone.
That was a good movie. Dude, that one was good too. I enjoyed the crap out of that one.
Hey, excuse me. Excuse me.
Okay. Hold on. Let me see. That is a 70 Fahrenheit equals 21 Celsius. I didn't know that. For those of us who don't use bovine-based temperature scales, I don't know why, but the bovine thing, bovine-based temperatures scales, like weirdos. That's right. I don't know why I'm hearing it in this country accent. Greg from Cornell University and Dexter from USC has a PhD in molecular biology. That's what it was. That's right. So it was Dexter. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember which one. But oh boy. All right, y'all. Well, hey, thank y'all so much for hanging out. This is a lot of fun. Like I said, I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully all the folks that got that were able to get memberships from Kelly, the Detroit Atheist Queen, which thank you so much again for that. It was awesome. Definitely you can check out tomorrow. Crap, and I can't think of what time it is going to be at, but early. I think it's early. I want to say like 11 o'clock. That's what it was. 11 a.m. Because I used to do stuff around those times and it's just easier for me. And I'm on vacation, so fuck it. All right. Fuck it. But thanks y'all so much for hanging out and watching. This was fun. I enjoyed this one. A lot of shit that I'm not really thrilled to talk about, but still interesting to hang out and kind of see what's going on around the world together and sort of talk about it and share our frustration and anger, like I said, with one another. But all right, y'all. Thanks again. And before we go, I want to make sure that it's very clear that you got to get your butt some flags, okay? And if you punch in astropride.com astralpride.com/promo/punk, you can get $1 off of the sticker version of Pride Space flags. These flags are awesome. Okay. And these are you get $1 off of the sticker version, right? But these flags are incredible. They take the color, it's Ember, and she takes the from betterthanember.com, or Better Than Ember on YouTube. She takes the colors from actual space like pictures, right? And then puts them into pride flags. It's phenomenal. So you can see some of them here. Hold on, the chat's kind of in the way. Let me just remove y'all for a second. Okay. That way you can see what they look like. It's super cool. I got the pride one coming myself, just the regular pride to start. And then I'm probably going to get a few more. But yeah, super awesome. Definitely run out, get those. Like I said, astralpride.com/promo/punk. That is my promo. So definitely get your butt some flags, okay? Because it needs them. All right. But also, if you want to support the show here, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And I'm going to list them all right here. Right. Bloop. Okay. And yeah, you can, all the links are below, including the link for astralpride.com/promo/punk. And get your butt some stuff. Also, get your butt to support the show through some other stuff. But you can also, hit the like button. That's a free way to do it, right? If you don't want to have it cost a bunch of money or anything, just hit that like button. Then it's, that's all you got to do. But all right, Joe. The main thing is to stay logical, stay loving, skeptical, and compassionate, and we will see you next time. I got the catchy song.
Are you about to engage in blasphemy? Are you about to engage in blasphemy? Are you about to engage in blasphemy?
We already did.